Hi there! I didn't see you. I'm Emma, and tonight I want to read with you. I want to read a special book that got me through a lot of my childhood. It's called Ashley and the Beautiful Rainbow. It's a beautiful little book about a little gal named Ashley who wants to change the world for the better. So snuggle up, get your jammies on. I've got mine on. As you can probably tell, it's almost bedtime. Get a drink of your choice. Snuggle up and let's get reading. Refreshing.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Kickin It with the KC Improv Company. I'm your host, Brandon, and today we're going to be talking to a friend, hear a story from a pal, and listen to a song from a buddy. Our first guest has been a member of the KC Improv Company for the past 3 years. You can see him on our stage and across stages all over the country. Please give it up for Mr. Jamie Campbell. Hey, Jamie, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I got a little cabin fever, but I'm managing, I guess. You know, plenty of food, plenty of supplies, so I'm okay.
Now, you're a busy dude. Let us know some of the stuff that you get up to for some of those folks who maybe don't know about that.
Yeah, I perform as an improviser. I tour all over the country as a stand-up. Over the last couple of years, I did a one-man show all over the country at fringe festivals. There was more of a storytelling show. I write sketch comedy occasionally, put up some videos online, and then I'll do a little bit of like film and commercial acting here and there whenever I can find a project that feels like it is the right fit.
Now, we're all subject to the stay-at-home order right now. I know that you recently put out a video with some tips to help people.
Yeah, I was just, thinking, we're getting all of this advice, and some of it is contradictory, but it feels like humanity is running up against a lot of the same problems where you're cooped up in your house and you're trying to get your brain to have some sense of normalcy. So I sat down and I tried to write, 5 hacks. And one was, trying to keep your brain to have this feeling like it's still getting through the routine. So what I do every morning is I go out and I sit in my car in the driveway just for the length of a commute to work. And then at the end of the day, I get back in the car and I sit in it for a while longer. Hand sanitizer's a thing people are running out of. I like to boil a pot of water, soak my hands in that, kills all the germs, and also any hope.
Now, we're not scientists. I would never claim that you and I were scientists or maybe even had a degree from some sort of higher learning institution.
No, I did once work for a company called Mad Science, where I would pretend to be a scientist, and then I would go into schools and say, hey, kids, I'm going to teach you about science. And I would read the script and teach them about science. But then when they'd have questions that would come up, I'd be like, oh, no, I'm in a lot of trouble here because I don't really know what I'm talking about. So we've got a lot of confused children out there right now, and I'm part of the problem.
So aside from the 5 tips that you gave us in your video, what are you doing to pass the time, keep your sanity?
Sure. Well, I'm exploring Scientology. I just want to see, if maybe it's for me. So I took a Thetan test and just kind of one of those quick classes that you can do online. I'm not sure about it yet. The jury's still out. So I'm exploring some of those options. Also, just, getting to know my dog. He doesn't talk back, but he gives me a look sometimes, and I like to think that maybe we're contacting each other telepathically. I'm worried, like when I go out shopping, that, somebody's going to, get stabbed on the street for a roll of Charmin, which is ridiculous. Because if you look around your house, there is no need to hurt anybody for toilet paper. Anything can be toilet paper if you believe. I noticed, the moment that the store manager came out front, I was out of Costco. He came out with a bullhorn, and he goes, "Hey, everybody, just relax. We're all out of the things that you need. There's no sanitizer. There's no toilet paper." And suddenly, everybody's shoulders just relaxed because we knew we wouldn't have to fight each other. And suddenly, everybody's just hey, have a nice day. We're all in this together.
I know you have a dog, Henry, I believe his name is. How's he doing with all of this?
Oh, yeah, Henry is a dog, and he is like an old man of a dog. He's 11 years old, and he's going deaf now. And so I think he thinks that everything's fine and that we're just suddenly a lot quieter because he doesn't seem upset or confused, but we'll be behind him. If he can't see us trying to get a hold of him, he just doesn't respond. So that's kind of fun. He is like the only dog that I've ever met that, like, I'll bring a stranger into the house. He doesn't bark at all. So if you want to rob our place, that's great. Our dog's not going to bother you at all. Just swing on by, steal our stuff. But he's a good dog. He makes me happy. I'm a dude that deals with depression here and there. And the awesome thing about a pet, like if you're dealing with depression, you can't just sit around in bed all day and do nothing because you got to take care of the dog. And so a lot of times when I'm down in the dumps, like this dog gets me out of my funk. And I got to say, if you're like kind of lonely during the quarantine, adopt a pet because, that could really boost your spirits and you're not alone.
Totally. I get it. I mean, I have a cat, so it's a little bit different, but...
Yeah, you know what I was thinking is that dogs, like the way that dogs are for humans, humans are for cats. Humans are the dogs for cats. We need their love, and they're like, yeah, whatever, I'm busy.
Looping back, you mentioned the touring show that you did. I know that while you were doing that, you were also teaching a workshop that you did called Take the Power Back. Could you maybe explain that a little bit for everybody?
Yeah, I toured the country doing my own one-man show where I talked about some moments of childhood trauma. And when I started doing the show, people would come up to me afterwards and start wanting to share their own stories. And these complete strangers felt like they knew me and they were connected to me. And suddenly this moment of vulnerability became a moment of power for me. It was like I was, reclaiming this moment in my life. And I wanted other people to have that same feeling. So while I toured the country, I also taught this workshop called Take the Power Back. And I would get a group of strangers in a room and try to create a safe environment where they could share everything about their lives, the good, the bad, the ugly, and really connect with each other so they didn't feel alone in sharing their trauma. And it would culminate in a live show where these people would share these stories, a lot of times that they've never told to anybody in public with an audience of strangers. And they got that same experience that I had of, you go in very vulnerable, but you walk out feeling like you owned that moment, and then other people are connected to you, and you're not by yourself anymore in dealing with that. And it's been really like one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done as an instructor. Like I still get messages from people all over the country saying, I'm still telling my story, or I took your workshop and then I decided to get out of my comfort zone and do some other things. Now I'm performing, or, now I had the courage to just go into a work meeting and demand a raise from my boss, because if I could handle that story in public, the possibility of that rejection wasn't that big a deal. And so it's been a big deal for me, and I'm pretty proud of it.
As for the show itself, are you taking that back on the road? Did you record it? What's going on with that right now?
I did record it. I recorded it as a special in Kansas City, and it was 6 cameras, and it looks really good. It's still in the editing process. I don't know if it's ever going to be finished. If it does, I'm just kind of leaving it to the universe. And if the guy that's editing it for me gets it to me, then I'll probably release it. But if not, then maybe the universe is saying, hey, dude, you don't need to release it. For me, therapeutically, I got what I needed out of sharing my story. And at some point, in sharing it over and over again to audiences all over America, I started feeling like, oh, I don't need to tell this story anymore. And I've moved past that part of my life. So I'm not doing it live anymore, but, I'm not averse to talking about it to other people. And if you've got something that you need to work through, anybody out there, I encourage you to start sharing your story, because you'd be surprised at how much audiences are going to have in common and relate to anything you've been through.
Assuming we can ever leave our houses again, what's on the horizon for you, dude?
I'd really love, one of my dreams is to be staffed on a television show. So I'm putting in the work right now and working with some really great people out that are in the television industry, kind of working remotely with them. And then in addition to that, just doing stand-up. I'd like to record a special around the end of the year. I just turned 40, and I'm living with my girlfriend. I'm in a very domestic life right now, and it's so different than my entire adult experience. And so just kind of figuring out ways to talk about that. It's been weird becoming 40 and realizing that who I was when I first started doing stand-up. I wanted to be this edgy guy that talked about controversial things. And now, like, I'm 40 years old. Nobody wants to watch this dude talk about sex or, like stuff that they might be less uncomfortable with, I guess, if they were, seeing me younger. But now it's like, is my uncle talking about sex? No, thank you.
Now, where can we find you online?
Anybody that is interested in like helping support any of the stuff that I do, I'm taking donations online. Just Jamie-Campbell-18 is my Venmo. If you go to my Facebook page, if you search Jamie Campbell, you should be able to find it, but it's also just facebook.com/adventures in comedy, or go to jamiecampbellcomedy.com. On that website, there's links to all my social media. But I'm trying to post more videos and online content while I'm around. And like, if you don't, if you're not able to donate financially, that's not a big deal. I just want you to enjoy it. And if you do enjoy it, sharing it is the best way to say thanks.
Great. Well, Jamie, thank you so much for your time. Go check out his video. And I hope that we can see each other in person sometime soon.
Yeah, that would be great. All right, man. Talk to you soon.
We'll be right back with more Kickin' It.
Let's get reading, shall we? It was a rainy day, and Ashley was watching the rain from the shelter of her Kia Soul. She liked the rain because then she didn't have to wash said Kia Soul. Ashley was, as you say, that in the neighborhood. Everyone knew of her as that, and when she walked out her door, everyone cleared the streets. They said, "Here comes that Ashley." She was a force to be reckoned with. "People don't seem to like rain," said Ashley as she looked from the window of her Kia Soul. Everything outside of her Kia Soul looked beautiful and lush and green because of the rain, but she knew that everyone described it as f***ing dull and f***ing worthless and absolutely f***ing senseless. She didn't understand. Ashley didn't have a friend in the world, and she considered the rain her friend. "I have an idea," said Ashley. She leaned back in her Kia Soul and picked up a pack of cigarettes and her pots of paint. I'll brighten things up for them. She dashed outside of her Kia Soul and started spray painting things on the side of buildings. She spray painted things such as "Rain is f***ing delicious" and "All y'all who don't like rain are mother f***ing suckin' p***sies. And I can't f***ing believe that you don't like rain."
Looking at myself in the thing, I've got like a thing and a thing and why'd I put myself on camera? Our next guest has traveled all over the world as a musician and most recently performed as part of the 79th annual Kickies, performing her song "Hey Ricky." Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nan Turner. Hi, Nan.
Hi, hey. How's it going? What you doing?
Oh, just doing a talk show here and looking damn good while I do it.
I know.
For the people who maybe don't know who you are, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, let's see. I'm a Virgo. Because that's the first thing you're wondering, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's going to save a lot of time on the custom star chart I make for every guest on the show. Now, you are a traveling musician. Not traveling, you're a touring musician.
I have a band called Schwervon, and we were very active. It's my now ex-partner, Matt, but we were very active in New York, and we toured in Europe probably 15 times, all over Germany, UK, France, especially Germany, because they like Schwervon. What can I say?
So why do you think that the Germans love Schwervon so much?
Our charm.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe the name is like a little bit of an invitation, you know?
I was going to say that classic German charm. Now, aside from Schwervon, I know you've recently done, it was like a high concept trilogy of songs about figure skating, and that's really intriguing to me. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Yes. Well, yes. I I am older and I was there for those Olympics. I wasn't actually there, but I remember Tanya Harding. She was like the punk rock Courtney Love, of ice skating. And yeah, so I saw that movie I, Tanya, and I was so inspired by her story. And I also grew up like in Washington State, and like it's hard there. If you're not in one of the cities, if you're in like sort of like it's hard. I'm not saying my life was like Tanya's, but I'm just saying there's a lot to draw from creatively. And so I wrote this piece about Tanya, and I thought, okay, that's the one off, whatever. I was inspired, right? And then I was like, well, maybe I could write something about Nancy Kerrigan. And then maybe I could have them do a duet. So now I have like 3 pieces.
So you're going to go like through all of the eras, get like Michelle Kwan in there, or like
everybody keeps bringing up Michelle Kwan, and I think she's got to make a cameo.
I'm picturing a full-on figure skating like concept album. You can get guys like Scott Hamilton in there.
Do you want to play Scott Hamilton?
I'm not asking for a gig, but it would be an honor to play Scott Hamilton in something. Now, you released that under your project, Nan and the One Night Stand, which is interesting to me because, as I understand it, it is you, and then you kind of build the band per gig.
Yeah. It started out being a lot more ragtag and a lot more like, oh, I'll call Sam and he'll play guitar on one song. Because I had been in bands that with like specific members for a long period of time. Like I was in a all-girl band called Bionic Finger in the late 90s. And around that time I met Matt, and then I started Schwervon, and then I was in another all-female band called Pantsuit for a while, well ahead of its time, clearly. But after that, I was like, you know what? I just want to collaborate with tons of people and have them come in and play on my songs. And that was around the time I started writing rap songs, and I was like, I don't know what's happening here. It felt like it was so exciting because it felt like it was almost out of my control. Like I was like, look, I'm writing songs and doing dance moves, and it just has to happen. I could just do guitar songs, but like, why not this too?
Super. So Nan, for you, what's coming up for you?
There's no gigs. I'm laughing because I'm crying on the inside.
Now, where can we find you online?
You can find it at nanturner.bandcamp.com and .com. Doesn't that feel like so like 1989? .com. And also Schwervon has like a ton of records. So, and that's Schwervon, SCHWERVON, like get your Schwervon, at Bandcamp. So.
Thank you so much, Nan.
That was fun. Thank you, Brandon.
We'll be right back with more Kickin' It.
The neighbors walked outside of their houses and they saw all of the graffiti on their walls and they began to weep. As Ashley looked on from her Kia Soul, she felt proud until the first squad car arrived. Somebody had caught footage on their Ring doorbell of Ashley spray painting such paraphernalia on their walls, and they were looking for Ashley. Ashley then said, "Mother-f***ing pigs, I will not go without a fight." So that's what she did. Ashley pulled out a tire iron and started swinging, and by God did she cause some damage. She hit a car window, a house window, and even a cop's kneecap. But boy, did they tase Ashley. Ashley then wrote a letter from the female penitentiary that she was in. "Dear neighborhood, it's me, that bitch Ashley. I'm sorry for the trouble I caused, as I was just trying to brighten your day. Can someone please move my Kia Soul to my garage? It gets lonely. You can't miss it. It's brown and parked on the outskirts of town. P.S. I love you all, and I'll miss you. P.P.S. Not really. You're all f***ing assholes to me." That book really did get me through some tough times, and I'm grateful I could share it with you. Again, that was Ashley and the Beautiful Rainbow, an inspirational board book. It does not have an author. So, you know what? Be the author of your own story. And cheers.
That's going to be all the time we have this week for Kickin' It. Tune in next week at 7:30 on Friday when we have our next episode. And to play us out here is Nan Turner.
It was simple. You were all I had. No lines drawn to make us feel bad. Pluck your brows, heavy tree boughs. Wear a blindfold just to see the smallest holes are crater-sized. Rambo's car, I am surprised. An action man with no plan. A coward always takes the biggest stand. I divide. All we built myself into caterpillars turn to silk. I'm curdling just like milk. Smallest holes are crater-sized. Rambo's car, I am surprised. Action man in short supply has 20 years before he dies. His cherry mouth still open wide. He's a salty dog, he's born to ride. More I fight, the more I fear. If I go on, I'll disappear. I'm a scout with no pack. The sun warm on my back. My boots lost, they're strapped. I keep the road in